Welcome to Burnout, Business and Body, the podcast that inspires you to take care of yourself and your life in 3 powerful ways.
Hi, I'm Nicole Lawton, your burnout coach, here to help you slow down, reconnect, and rediscover the peace that lives beneath the pressure.
Hi, I'm Belinda Smith, your business coach, here to show you how to grow your business or grow a business that supports your life and your team, that builds cohesion and leads to greater connections and a healthy profit.
And I'm Sabina, your body coach. I teach you strategies and shortcuts to work with your body instead of against it, so you can get more done in less time, optimize your energy and performance from the inside out.
Amazing. Well, together we'll explore how burnout, business and body all connect and how small shifts in each can create big changes in your energy, your work and your life. Today's beautiful topic is going to be the hidden weight of emotional stress, which is Nicole's highlight, her superpower. So, where the spotlight is on today, Sabina, would you like to launch into asking Nicole some interesting questions?
This is something I'm so excited about because I've definitely had emotional stress for much of my life, and it continues to rear its peaky head. So yeah, I think for everybody out there who maybe it's a little bit new to them, how can someone just recognize that they've got unresolved emotions, emotional stress, Nicole? Something really simple.
Okay, so wow. Well, emotional stress shows up in our actions. So, what a lot of us don't really understand is that we think our mind and our body is separate, but it's actually all one. So, what we don't realize is the subconscious mind itself is actually running the game. We think we are consciously aware of everything that we're doing all at the one time, but it's actually not the fact. We're only 5% is your conscious mind, and it's 95% that's your subconscious mind just running. So it does your breathing, it does moving your muscles. You know, that's what the subconscious mind's job is, but it's also a little computer that keeps store of everything. So when we're impacted so much with emotional pressures and stress of the world, and we don't finish the cycle of stress, or we don't feel the emotions in a full cycle, we're suppressing them, and it's going deep down in our bodies and in our subconscious mind. So, how that will show up for us is actually in the actions. It's actually the patterns that we do. It's how we do stress. It's how we do anger. It's how we do sadness. It's all of that. And so, to answer the question of how would you recognize it, it's actually in those moments when you might be able to catch yourself going, why do I keep doing this? Why do I feel this? Why? You can sit with yourself and actually just pause. And it sounds very simplistic, but the reality is the power of that pause is so powerful that if you were to sit down and just sit with yourself and ask yourself the questions, something like, what's going on for me? How am I actually feeling right now? You know, what do I need right now? And just checking in with yourself. Yeah. And allowing, don't overcomplicate it. Just sit there and just breathe. And when I say breathe in and out, the best breath technique that I feel really reduces your stress cortisols very instantly in the moment is when you breathe in and you hold it for 4. And then as you breathe out, you're breathing out like you're breathing out through a straw.
Okay.
And you breathe out longer for 8, and just really allow your body to de-stress. And then when you feel calm enough and you're in that safe space, asking yourself the question of, well, what is it that I might need right now, or what's going on for me?
Wow. Wow, because it's so I love the fact that it's so simple. Just actually that self inquiry, right, that we don't give ourselves the luxury of doing. Can I just ask, you mentioned cycles, a full cycle. Could you go a little bit, for people that don't know about sort of the cycle, could you sort of elaborate on that?
Yeah, so where I'm realizing just doing this work myself and witnessing outside everyone, my clients even, none of us have been taught how to finish the cycle of stress or finish the cycle of emotions. We're taught to quickly, oh my gosh, I'm feeling an emotion, it's really intense. I need to squash that down so that I can keep going. And so, unfortunately, that's what we do. And we dismiss ourselves when we do that. But we also stop the cycle of happening. So, what we actually need to do is feel it. And we're not taught to feel it because everyone gets scared that you're going to get stuck in it and all the rest of it. But when we can actually sit down and go, right, I'm actually feeling this anger. Of course, I feel this anger. It's trying to tell me something. Like, we get emotions and feelings for reasons. It's trying to actually tell us a message. Our bodies are trying to tell us a message. So it is that simple. Let's sit down, let's check in with yourself. Okay, I'm feeling sad right now. And here's a bit of statistics for you, which will surprise pretty much everyone, but it is scientifically proven that you can only feel an emotion for 90 seconds.
Ooh.
And so what happens is it's our thoughts that we keep adding to that emotion. So it's really uncomfortable and we don't want to because we're hardwired to keep ourselves safe. So we keep distancing. We're not taught to sit with it and go, okay, for 90 seconds, I'm going to feel this. And as long as I don't keep adding or going back to the moment and keep adding and adding and adding, which just fuels everything, then I'll be able to feel the feeling until I don't need to feel it anymore.
Wow.
And then you've completed the cycle. So even in that moment of stress, it's just taking yourself away for the moment to sit down and just go, okay, I'm feeling very stressed. I just want to breathe and just allow it to be there and knowing that you're going to move through it once you felt it. So it's not about running away, it's about running through it.
Wow. So just to recap, so if I feel dysregulated and I'm feeling there's an emotion, to get sort of curious as to what's going on with me, right? And sort of asking, hey, what is this? What is this? And identify if it's emotional, or it's anger, or what emotion it is. And I can, using my unconscious mind, if I work this out, because 95% of what we're doing is unconscious, so I can train it to pick up on the emotion, hold on to it, and be curious about it, and move through it in 90 seconds.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Such a small investment of time as well, right?
It is.
Wow.
I mean, and to get started, it's not going to be, you'll need to really take that time out, which is the hard thing, right? Because our lives are so busy and we're running around. And this is where we're getting stuck as a society, is because we might feel an emotion or a stressor at one point and we haven't had the time to sit there with ourselves and give ourselves that break. And the next minute, you know what, there's another stressor.
Yep.
So before you know it, you've got 10 stresses happening. So whilst it is quite simple, it's not as easy to put into play. And then what happens is that when we're dismissing, they don't disappear. It stays, but it stays within our body.
Yeah.
And at some point, it then comes out, and it's coming out as tension, headaches, illnesses, the brain fog, all of that kind of thing that we can't filter through, and that exhaustion that no amount of sleep will ever help you to catch up. You never feel rested. It's because we're not finishing those cycles and we're just switched on. So we're then staying constantly in fight and flight
I love
in our
that.
survival mode.
I love that. Like I never thought, about it being a cycle. It's sort of. I was thinking today. It's like an open wire, right? You've just not closed it off. It's like going into your
Yeah.
cupboard in your kitchen and opening all the cupboards, and then just going away, and then coming back and they're open again. Like we need to close. That's me. But does that make sense? Well, that's how I see it in my head anyway. It's just like sort of.
Oh, Sabina, if you did that in my kitchen, I would be very dysregulated. So, 100%, if that was going on, that would be seriously a lot of open cycles.
And that's when we get, and that happens each day. It's day in, it's day out. And, it's almost like when you see a friend and they're going through a hard time and you want to try and remind them of all the positive things that are happening in their life. Yeah. And that is just well intended, trying to get them out of the pain because, well, to be honest, the reality is we're uncomfortable that they're in pain. And so we're trying to get them out of it so that they're not stuck. But in that moment, people just need to be sat with and gone, well, what do you need? What do you need in this moment? And give them that cue of some people just need to be held in that space and just nothing, no words said, just having someone sitting there with them while they're feeling what they're feeling. So it's not, it certainly sounds very easy, and it is, but it's a matter of training yourself to be able to do that for yourself. So, and it's very much part of all the work that I do with my clients to help them recognize in them what their body's telling them, as well as what they're going through is okay, and it's all right to feel this, and we can get through it, and we will get through it, and that there is another side.
So we do more to avoid pain than we do to seek pleasure. So in the kind of model around that avoidance strategy, because it's hard and we feel like we don't want to address it. So each time that we're not addressing it and completing the cycle, can you tell us more about what that will do to us in all aspects of our life?
Yeah, well, so that then stays stuck, right? So it's stuck in our bodies, it's in a memory, right? A memory in our body, a memory in the subconscious mind. Then when another event comes along and it has the same emotions attached and the same feelings and all the rest of it, then bang, boom, it's impacted. So over time, you get enough of the same thread of feelings and emotions to different events. You then here comes another event. It's a very minimal event. However, it's evoked the same emotions, and then your reaction is loud. It's overreactive maybe to that specific event because there's a long line of events behind that haven't been dealt with, and bang, boom, that happens to be the event that everything comes out with. So it can be that reactivity that's constant. And a lot of these start in our early childhood. So it's really, really like when you've got the awareness, it's great. You've got the time and you can make yourself the time to go and sit down and feel in and action these actions. That's great. But to get started, you might need to actually, do some of this with a coach who is able to help you release the patterns and strategies and emotions that have been stored since your childhood.
Wow.
Because from childhood, you've also got that lineup going on until to date. So,
So Nicole, with 95% of our unconscious mind deciding that something is already not good for us, even though it could present as being good for us. Do we make that story up and potentially ruminate about it so much that we've decided something is true when it's not?
Well, because it's subconscious, so you're not consciously aware of that. So with the subconscious mind, that's all about feelings. And that's where the power is. It's actually when we're so in our heads trying to think, we can't think our way out of emotional stress. So you have to feel it to be able to
Wow.
get out of the emotional stress.
Wow.
And, we can consciously do it, but because our bodies are keeping the score literally, we need to feel that feeling to be able to let it go instead of thinking our way out of it. So it's it's learning to bring our subconscious to the conscious, which is quite a bit of a program in itself.
Wow. Yeah, I think saying that, like, really, you can't think your way out of it. You have to feel it. That's pretty, I mean, it's scary as hell. Um,
Yeah.
and it's not meant to, and you're giving some really clear steps of how it doesn't have to be for a long time, just processing it and just.
No, it doesn't. And, I mean, and we ruminate over things, right? So an event happens, and the more we keep thinking about it, the more it happens. We've already thought, the feelings have come up, we've attached them to the thought process, and then we just keep thinking, and that just builds it and builds it and builds it. And that's where we end up getting stuck, and where it gets bigger and bigger and all the rest of it. So so when I say you can't feel it for longer than 90 seconds, sorry, you are literally re-feeling it every time you're thinking about what happened.
Got it.
So that's why it lasts longer, and most people will feel like it lasts longer, is because you're constantly ruminating over what happened and working it out, and and then feeling those feelings every single time you talk about it, every single time you think about it. Yeah.
I feel like I want to sing a song. Can you feel it?
And see, and this is where we're at in society, right? Like, we're not actually, this is how it has to change. Like, we can't talk our way out of things anymore. We actually have to feel the pain, knowing that it's not going to last forever. And once we get through it, we'll be on the other side. It's because we're so hardwired to keep safe and to stay away from pain. We get too scared, so it's easier for us to dismiss it. But in doing so, we're doing more damage to ourselves, to our bodies, to our minds, and it builds up and creates the anxiety and creates the depression, and then creates the chronic health conditions and autoimmune problems. So it's just a rippled effect. So it's something that people need to be made aware of, definitely, because it is the quiet one that we have no idea of. You think of stress and you think car accidents or big traumas, or the road rage going to work and or the rest of it, but it's actually the mental chatter in our head too that can rethinking and reliving things over and over again, which becomes that, just builds on that emotional stress that we're already naturally feeling about the event. So
I suppose as well as if you're sorry. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, please, you're midstream, please.
Well, I was thinking, because it is, again, it can be quite foreign to a lot of people to sort of start asking yourself questions. And so, in something that is, if someone's new to this kind of stuff, because it does sound a little bit weird. I know I definitely felt like that when I started looking into it, but I also know how impactful it is, and it's changed my life. But I suppose like something like journaling, which is sort of a relatively low resistance thing, is that something that processing it that way maybe would?
Oh, look, yeah. So you pause and listen is one thing. So it's just allowing yourself to take a breath and feel, your feet, the clenched jaw, exhale, and then listen to the awareness that comes up. Allowing yourself to cry, as simple as that, or journaling, or shaking. If your body's shaking, don't force it to stop. Let it shake. That's letting the process out. It will stop shaking. And then it's then reaching out for support, when it's just too overwhelming and you're unable to really process that alone. It's being able to have that sort of trauma-informed coach that can be able to sit with you and hold that space while you're able to just allow that emotion to happen and get you through, ask you the questions without, sometimes you need to be facilitated. It's a lot more helpful until once you've done it for a little while, you're all of a sudden you're in
doing
that
it
sort
for
of
yourself
pattern.
is pretty hardcore.
Yeah. So, to get started, look, some people would prefer to do that. I'll be able to do it on my own, but I think having it facilitated for you is incredibly powerful, especially with someone who knows what they're doing, and able to hold that space and give you that space to feel your emotions and it be okay. How many of us as a kid, and I remember doing it to my own children growing up, whenever they hurt themselves, you kind of didn't want to elaborate on the drama of it, even though it was. So it was that, oh, shush, you're holding them and you're kind of shushing them to, oh, it's okay, shush, you're okay. And oh my Lord, when I realized, I went, oh my goodness, I've taught you to dismiss how you're feeling. Like, instead, let those tears roll, let it out, like let that pain be felt and not dismissed, and let it out, because it was only going to last just as long as it did as I was shushing them, and it was done to me. Like, it's just, we didn't have the awareness.
No.
I certainly didn't back then.
No.
And so, it was just one of those things of like, oh, it's very easy. I had great parents. However, that was something I remember. And, they did their best that they knew. They didn't have any awareness around that either. So, it's, definitely, when you have this awareness now, being conscious of it, but it takes a moment to catch up and get on with it. And the more work you do on yourself with this, then this is like your remedy for you to then walk away, and the less and less you will need it facilitated for yourself. You'll find that you'll do a certain amount of it, and then all of a sudden you've got it until maybe something bigger comes, and then it's just a fine tune with someone. But it's about empowering you to then be able to serve you. That when these emotions and these stresses come up, you've actually got the tools within you because you've learnt it, but you've also reconciled so much within yourself.
Powerful.
Very powerful. Very powerful.
Can I talk a little bit about how in business we talk about profit leakages? We try to plug profit leaks where money is lost unnecessarily. And I've just made a note here. In business, emotional stress is potentially a silent profit leakage.
100%. And if you're unaware of it, it's how you show up. So it's how you deliver the content in that meeting. It's how you interact with your co-workers. And then that goes for home as well. It's how you show up to your partner, your children, your friends. It's such a rolled on effect that our baggage, really, that everyone's carrying a backpack of something, of all these stored emotions that we're not consciously aware of. By not unpacking that, you're actually showing up in the world like a hurt version of you. By healing that and working through that, you're empowering yourself and showing up in the world as a healed, more whole version of you. So therefore, things that may you might react to from that more heavy baggaged version, you'll be reactive to. But the more work you do on yourself, you'll have more compassion and understanding that that may not even bother you anymore.
Right.
Wow.
Wow.
I absolutely think that's amazing. So if leaders are carrying that unspoken stress, it'll spread through the team.
Yep.
The communication potentially can drop. I've written many notes here. I'm sure my clients will love this conversation. When we create that emotional, awareness in the workplace, people can feel safe to speak, and supported to pause. We could definitely do a lot more. I've got some other notes which I've been writing madly away as I do. Teams probably won't just perform better; they'll potentially grow
Together.
more so together. Yeah. And
Yeah.
having that connection, which will create clarity, and the clarity will eventually lead to a lack of profit leakage. And I've not really spoken about that before. This is quite a powerful conversation.
Well, it's all about, like, who doesn't want to be seen, heard, and validated that they exist? And in all areas of life, business and personal, often I even had a client today that, invisibility came up, and it's a thing of not being heard and not listened to. That's potentially someone else's baggage that's been unhealed, which might trigger someone else's stuff. And it's actually our responsibility to take care of ourselves and our side of the fence. But I think people just are completely unaware that this is one of the major stresses, and it goes hand in hand. And it was an interesting, a number of years ago now, I developed my own quite bad chronic health condition. And it took me a long time to find a doctor who understood what was going on for me. And I remember sitting in the surgery, and we'd gone through, a management plan. And part of that plan, and it was a dead bang, looked in my eyes and said, you need to learn to manage your stresses. And at that point, I was like, what does that even mean? Like, everyone has the same stress as I am, what do you mean by that, and it is what led me into this work. And it's through my own healing that I've realized, oh my goodness, this is where it comes and this is where it goes. And this emotional stress is unhealed. You leak so much energy because you become the people pleaser, the perfectionist, the needing to appease everyone and make everything all right, which is leading us into burnout. And, this stress is the pandemic of the world. There's no one who's not stressed, on some level, at some point of the day, and a lot of us carry this more than we should be. And we're constantly stuck in this fight and flight. And we should not be living in it. It's just not what we should be doing. And so, it is really bringing awareness to society that we need to take care of our fence, on our side of the fence, and start working on ourselves, because in doing so, we're actually more empowered and confident within ourselves, but we're actually showing up better people and more compassionate and kind and less angry and less aggravated and less tense, right? So it's a huge thing that's quietly going unseen.
Oh gosh.
I think that's amazing that you've shared so much today. In fact, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. And I know that we can help a lot of people with this great information. Can I just ask Sabina a question? Is in relation to, so if we're we've got to feel this emotion. That's how we move through it. What other ways is it going to impact, this stress is going to impact the body?
Well, there's lots of different ways, but I'll talk about my own personal, um, is that a lot of it is often carried in your gut, and it's for a reason, and so often we carry that stress in our gut, and, you know, the mind body linkage, we're aware of it now, but they rely on each other. And I know for me, and for loads of other people, is that when you're stressed, your gut basically clamps up because it assumes that you are being chased. And for your body, it will start holding on to fat. It will start holding on to, like, it won't let you go to the toilet. And you'll get bloated, and it'll increase inflammation because it is literally frightened. And so I think if you've got digestive stress, a really good tool would just be ask yourself, how am I actually feeling in my head? Like, am I feeling stressed? And Nicole was much better with her questions, but actually those kind of feelings, because there is a massive collaboration, a massive connection between digestive health and emotional stress. So if you are either one of them, they often go hand in hand. So again, asking those questions. If you do struggle, I know there was one lady who struggled to go to the bathroom every single day. Every single day. She'd go for weeks. And that's seriously, and a lot of that is stress, because if you feel as though you literally can't let go of your emotions, you can't let go, then that you're circulating lots of toxins in your body, and you're feeling more and more down. And so I think digestion is something that, if that's sort of a big pinpoint for me. Like, if somebody's emotional stress, digestion, it goes to straight away.
Wow. So burnout, and how is such an interesting conversation, and the stresses we've got to feel, and we've got to feel our way through it, and it can come up different ways in the body, and I think we can all feel it when it's sort of happening, and paying attention to it, and having a bit more awareness. Nicole, is there anything else that we can do when this emotional stress is coming upon us, or do you think it's covered off? I just want to make sure that our listeners have got all the tools they need for such an important topic today.
Yeah, so I'll just recap. Definitely do the pause and listen to yourself. So it's taking time out before you go and try and fix anything, before you rush to the next thing. It's really taking a gap. So with it in regard to work and business, it's going and having that bathroom break and maybe sitting in the toilet for a minute while you can just literally allow yourself to breathe and recalibrate and just feel it. Now, if you can't do that in the moment, and literally there's no way of doing it, then when you get home that night, it's sitting down and it's doing it then, and it's allowing yourself to feel that emotion. Journal it. Allow the tears to go. A lot of people don't like to cry, and the reality is that crying is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that your body is releasing. And so let the tears flow, because it's a healthy thing. It's telling you you're human, you're having an experience, and it's painful. So allow those tears to come down. And if you're so worked up that your body is shaking, make it shake even more, because it won't last forever at all. And all of a sudden you just won't do it. And, feeling that emotion, and just allowing it to be there without the judgment, without criticism, without noise around it, it's just and maybe even saying, well, where am I feeling it in the body? And just it's okay that it's there. I see you. I understand that you're there, and why wouldn't you be? Because this situation has upset us, and just breathe around it, and you'll all of a sudden know, okay, it's past. I don't need to keep going on, and you will have let go of it. And see, this then comes back to a lot of people unable to let go of things, but you're actually teaching yourself in that moment of like, okay, it happened. I felt it. I've now let go of it. It's now done. It's gone. We don't need to hold on to that and then keep bringing that into the next day. So yeah, more that, and then of course, on a more serious note, realistically, to get started, you might want to seek a coach to help you through this kind of scenario, get the ball rolling, to be able to deal with the stuff that may be childhood emotional stuff that's still there, and really unpacking that, because that is now showing up as a wounded child in an adult's body, and that's how it shows up. So, and again, if it's for yourself. It's, as Sabina said, it does, the mind and body and soul, it's all one. It's not three separate parts anymore. We've learnt enough to know that it's all connected. So what you're thinking, you're feeling, what you're feeling, you're thinking, and that's as simple as that. So get the support you might need, with someone that you feel safe enough to do this work with, this emotional work with, because I know it's tough. So you do need to feel comfortable with that person to be allowed to give yourself permission to feel and allow yourself to be raw in the
I think
emotion.
as a parent as well, I'm sure you're the same, but when we give ourselves permission to feel, then by magic our kids see it. They model the same behavior. And even if we don't go as far as to actually tell them what's going on, by actually recognizing that we're seeking, that we're feeling, we're ready to feel, then they're more likely to, because I'm sure there's going to be much more challenging situations than what there are now when they get older. And by just giving them that toolkit, like you said, Nicole, it sounds so simple and doable, but it's doing that. If we can do it, then our kids will model us, and we'll set them up for success, really.
For success. Yeah. And let's not downplay how hard school is for a lot of children these days. And and our kids are all dealing with the social media stuff, and there's all those stresses, and once bullying, it was at school, but you came home and you were free of it. It didn't affect you. Now you're coming home and it's still at you if you've got your devices. So you do actioning this, and even telling your kids, hey, I need 5 minutes to go regulate myself, and you're actually giving them permission because you're giving yourself the permission to do it. Teaching them at a young age to go, you know what, I really understand, that you had such a hard day today, and just take a minute to feel that, and sit with it, and just keep breathing, and all of a sudden, bang, it's like, okay, I'm good to go. I'm done. I'm ready to move on now. So, even...
It's going to show up everywhere, isn't it?
It's just,
just thinking about all of our different areas, with the kids, as Sabina has just said, with our families, with our teams, in our community. If we walk into a room with a big bundle of stress, we're really showing it to the room. It's becoming the tempo of the room, or
100%.
bringing that energy. And so we actually have the power to control energy in a room. If we bring bad juju into a room, technically we can bring the bad energy and bring something down. I think we hear people talk about Debbie Downer kind of conversation as instead of making a joke about it, but it could be just somebody walking into a room that is highly stressed. And they haven't compartmentalized or dealt with that stress. And so if we can deal with it, so you're saying we can deal with it professionally, and also in the moment.
In the moment, yeah. And, you know, and one of the ways of recognizing, I've certainly done this myself. I've had this done to me. I'm sure you guys, you know, have caught yourself doing it. But when you're in that ball of stress, sometimes when you speak, you're saying something that you're thinking is just normal, like it's a minimal thing, right? However, the tone that you use is really snippet and very harsh or whatever, and you catch yourself going, "Oh, I didn't mean for it to come out like that," like you know, and that's a sign. Okay, there's a barrel of emotional stress there. And that's how you're feeling, whether it's the person that's evoked it or whether it's, you know, just you. So,
And stress is contagious as well, I think.
yeah.
Like I liken it to a moldy apple, is that, and I'm not saying that, you know, if you're stressed, you're a moldy apple, but is that it can be so contagious. And, you know, I'm sure if I go home, then my kids pick up on it, just tiny little cues that they pick up on. And then that goes into their life. So just knowing that, you know, stress, even if it isn't apparent, we don't think it's apparent, that we're hiding it, you'll be surprised that the majority of stress, people can still see it, feel it, smell it.
Yeah.
Even if we think we're doing a good job of hiding it, it's still there.
Of hiding it. Yeah. Yeah. It comes out in the subtle tones of how you speak and hold yourself and
if you look at as well,
body language.
communication, it's only 7% is actually words. So the rest of it is our physiology, our tonality, all those kinds of things. And that's where stress sort of rears its ugly head and is very apparent. So, yeah, great call.
Very
so in
much
leadership, it would be quite significant, like parenthood, that the team would sense that and feel it. And if they're taking that on, I guess the worst part, ladies, is if the leader is demonstrating that because they're stressed, then they take it home as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the team could feel it and then the family could feel it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but then the team's going home
to their parents, to their kids,
because they're
100%.
you know,
yeah,
such a rippled effect. It really is, and that's why it is really our responsibility to take ownership of ourselves to do the work.
wow.
Not only for ourselves, but for everyone else around us.
Yeah.
It's quite important.
Yeah, I feel like I want to shout that at the rooftops. There's so much, you know, we think necessarily, you know, it's people who are educators that have the, you know, the biggest impression over other people's lives. They are, you know, educators are some, and you know, forces, armed forces, and you know, other people who have, you know, control or influence. Leaders absolutely have a lot of control and influence either way. So if we had all of our leaders regulated, I don't want to even
Imagine
talk
the
about
world.
politics. Yeah, I wanted to go there, but that's something that's a really, really big thing. I'm definitely going to work these conversations into in things that when I'm working with people, and I look forward to having further conversations. Very good topic today, ladies.
Amazing topic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It is. Thanks, girls, so much.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks so much. So our vision with the podcast is simple. Burnout, business and body aren't separate. They're connected. And when you take care of all three, you don't just survive life, you thrive in it. We're here to motivate, educate and encourage you to take care of what matters the most, which is you. And so if you'd like to know more, follow us and we can work with you individually or as a team and help you improve burnout, business and body. See the links below. Thanks.
Thank you.